Yes, people, welcome back to the 14th Canon. My name is Tom, and today we are going to be continuing this two-part series. Last episode, we were going over the players that could potentially be leaving Arsenal, whether that be due to their personal reasons or just players that Arsenal may feel that they need to move on. However, today we are going to be recommending players that Arsenal could replace these guys with. So, in the last episode, I suggested that Kepa, Tommy Setford, Ben White, Calafiori, Lewis Skelly, Norgard, Odegaard, Martinelli, Trossard, and Jesus. So there's quite a few players on that list, plus all of the loan players as well, could be looking to make their way out of Arsenal, or could potentially be players that Arsenal look to sell on. So that then leaves us with these positions here. All the question marks, including Calafiori, Lewis Skelly, Kepa, and Tommy Setford. They're all positions that me and my guest here, Josh, will be looking to bring players in for. But as I mentioned there, we've got a guest today. Josh is going to be scouting along with me. How are you doing, mate? Have you had a nice day?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks, mate. Yeah, I've had a nice day because the weather's nice as well for once in the UK. So that always makes a difference, guys. But make sure you guys are subbing to 14th Canon, liking the video, get your comments in as well, and give your opinions because this is just what we think. So yeah, make sure you guys are commenting as well. But yeah, it's great to be back on the channel, man, and I'm excited for this, man. I'm excited. So thanks for having me on, bro.
Yeah, thanks for accepting the invite and coming on. As you heard the guy say, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Yeah, I'm not begging, not begging. However, this is an interactive series, and it would be great to hear your thoughts down below. And I'm going to echo everything that he said to do here. To go and check this guy out. Go and give him a sub. You're probably already subscribed, but if you're not, go and check him out. It will be in the title. It will be in the description. In fact, YouTube have got some sort of collaborations feature, so you might not even have to check the title or the description. It might just come up anyway. But yeah, so we'll start with goalkeeper. As you can see, we've got a table here. We've got goalkeeper, a right-sided defender, a left-sided defender, two midfielders and two forwards. So that is what, 7 players each. We'll start with goalkeeper, and I want to go to you first because I have a feeling that we've picked the same goalkeeper. Obviously, Josh here, he's got his Italian background, so I feel we've probably picked the same player. So I'm going to go to you first. Who have you picked as your goalkeeper?
Yeah, so I've gone with the Italian roots for this one. A man who I've been watching for many, many years, a very underrated goalkeeper. It's Karnaseki. It's Karnaseki at Atalanta. There's been a bit of a talk that we were looking at him as well, a potential if Kepa does move. So there is some actual, this could be a very realistic deal. But yeah, my goalkeeper is Karnaseki. This goalkeeper for me, he's been at Atalanta for quite a while now. I said he goes under the radar a little bit, in terms of people who obviously when they look at goalkeepers, they don't mention his name, and I feel like he's one of the best in Serie A. There's and even in the national team, I've been crying for this guy to get some minutes, but it's impossible when we know who number 1 is for Italy. It's of course Donnarumma in goal, and then you got, our backup's Vicario right now, who's, I don't know how he even is getting into the team. Of course, from the scum over there, but yeah, so he struggled minutes in the national team, but he's that good. He's that good, and I feel like, of course, in terms of the goalkeeper, we have David Raya in goal, and he's been phenomenal. He's probably going to get 3 Golden Glove winners in a row, which is mental. And some of the saves that this guy has made in some of the games has been, amazing as well. So my goalkeeper is Karnaseki. Overall, fantastic shot stopper. But it's all about whether as well if he does want to settle for the backup.
Yeah, no. As you can see, I thought we'd pick the same goalkeeper, and it turns out we have. I've also gone with Marco Karnaseki. And for pretty similar reasons. Obviously, we've got Kepa and Setford at the minute, but there was talk at the start of the season that Kepa could be looking at Como as a potential destination for next season. So there is sort of talks there, but I think we'd be stupid to sell Kepa right now. 5 million euros were paid for him, and he's a quality backup goalkeeper. We signed him from Chelsea, where he was on loan at Bournemouth last season, where he's performing really well. So I think he's shown that he can be called upon. Obviously, it's going to be really difficult to find someone as good as Raya, especially with all the attributes that Raya's got, which you feel Kepa could probably improve on. I feel like those sort of attributes you're going to struggle to find in a number two. However, Karnaseki here, he is currently 25 years old, 2026 in the summer. And I feel like this guy would be a great platform to eventually take on David Raya's number one shirt. He's still young for a goalkeeper. I feel like he could go on for another 10 years, maybe. Goalkeepers always go on longer. But yeah, for me, Karnaseki, I think, is a really good choice. Obviously, would come in as the number two, similar to how Aaron Ramsdale was on the bench for a few games. He was probably identified to come in as a number two behind Bernd Leno, but you never know. If Karnaseki comes in, has a few good performances, I feel like he'd be an upgrade on Kepa as well, if Kepa was to move on. And I think it's also important to talk about Tommy Setford. If Tommy Setford was to potentially say, boss, I'm a great young goalkeeper, you can see that in training, but I want to prove that to English football now. He could go and say, "Look, I want to go out on loan somewhere in the EFL," which does potentially open up a spot for Cole Hine to come in next season as number three. But look, the club may potentially see an option there to sell. But I think the goalkeeper situation that we've signed a goalkeeper every summer for the last 6 years now.
Yeah.
So it's something that you just can't rule out. However, both of us are suggesting that Arsenal go in for Karnaseki if they are looking for a new goalkeeper this year. Josh, I'm going to come to you for the right-sided defender now. Obviously, we've got two defenders, two defensive slots here. In fact, no, let's just go for both of them straight away. Who are your two defenders that you would recommend to Arsenal?
So I'll start with the right side defender. I had two right backs in mind. The first one I went Premier League. I went with Livramento from Newcastle, of course. Just knows the league very, very well. And you got to think as well, it's Jurriën Timber that's going to be the main guy, of course. He's that good, but we need someone there to obviously rotate the amount of minutes that Timber does play. So, I think Livramento could be a good shout because, as I said, he knows the league really well. He can get sort of like a job done. We can rely on him if he does need to come in for games as well. Again, it's all about whether he's going to settle with the backup. But it is Arsenal, and hopefully when we win the league title and have some other trophies, of course, we're going to be a very attractive destination. If we don't go more then, again, I've gone back to the Italian roots. I've gone with a player we was apparently looking at as well. Palestra from Cagliari. Yeah, Marco Palestra, very, very young player, very promising player, a kid that's been hyped up as well. So that would be for me a bit more realistic in terms of if we're looking at some of the young players that we have signed. You think about like Mosquera, for example, who we signed 12 million deal. Looking back on it, was incredible. But yeah, so a young player looking for the head of maybe take over from Saliba and Gabriel as the future goes on. Maybe you could look at this guy as, again, still young. And as a back, I think he'll be very happy. I mean, to move to Arsenal from Cagliari with all due respect is, he'll take that in a heartbeat. So yeah, that's my other shout there. I just want to say quickly on the right backs as well. I really want Ben White to stay.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
I rate him so highly, man. And it's just the thing with Ben White is, of course, the fitness and some injuries here and there. But on his day, he's so good, man. And if he is fully fit, I think we've been saying as well that he could quite easily come into some of these games that Timber's been playing and rotate with Timber a lot more than he has been. But I just feel like he comes back for a few games, he looks good, and then something happens. Like he's out of the squad where his fitness, where his injuries, and that's the thing that really does let him down. But I think Ben White overall as a player, he offers so much, man. Like going forward, he's superb. The overlapping, the way that guy can cross a ball, even defensively as well. Like he's a strong player for Premier League as well. I don't see many winners really, get past him and like he sort of stands his ground really well. So Ben White, I really want to stay, but in terms of the injuries and fitness, we may move on. And for him as well, obviously he knows he sort of lost his place from being that number one a few years ago. So whether he want to move on, I think they'll talk at Everton as well. So yeah, that's my right backs. So going Livramento, and Palestra, and then left backs. It's interesting with this one because obviously, like, we're looking to sign Piero Hincapié on a permanent deal as well, which is fantastic news. I think that's got to be done. You know, he looks amazing. So again, it's interesting to see what happens with someone like Calla as well. Again, not only suffer his injuries, whether he can move on. But if one of those move on, again, I'm looking in the Premier League, and again, I've got a few suggestions, but my main pick, I've been impressed with him. The thing for me at times, maybe defensively, but going forward, I've been really impressed with him, is Robinson from Fulham. So quite similar to Livramento. I've gone with Anthony Robertson from Fulham. Again, very been impressed with him in terms of going forward and defensively at times as well. So I feel like, yeah, that him at left back. And then I've got a few other rogue shouts from you may not have heard the names before, but I've got La Liga, Sergio Gomez. He's over there at Sociedad. If you think about backup maybe, or a team player to rotate, Gomez, I think he's still 25 years of age. Got a couple assists this season as well, so decent going forward. I've put him there. And I've also put another really rogue shout from Italy as well. Carlos Augusto from Inter. This guy, he kind of gets under the radar because obviously Di Marco's in his position, right? But every time, again, as a squad player, he always comes in and does a really good job for Inter. Can offer that thing going forward. I know how the way they play is quite advanced with the sort of like the win backs and all that. But yeah, very good going forwards. And again, we were talking about rotation here for like Hincapié. And if we do go and sign a left back, for me, Carlos Augusto would be a shout there for me. But yeah, I know I've put quite a few there, but those my defenders.
Yeah, some interesting shouts there actually. I've gone for the same right back in Tino Livramento.
Yeah,
He's the player that I suggested there. But yeah, it is quite interesting because you covered Livramento, so I'll talk about Palestra quickly because he is a player that you do hear in the media quite often now. I think he's got that name sort of in and around world football now where people are talking about him.
Yeah.
So although I don't watch much of him at all, you can clearly hear from the noise that he's quite a good player, and he's still young as well. He's only just turned 21, so if he wants to commit his long-term future to Arsenal, then that's always a positive thing. But in terms of the left sort of sided defender, it's quite an interesting one because Lewis Skelly's found himself in the same position that Calafiore, Ethan Nwaneri's in. Sorry. Yeah. Where he's just got so much competition for places now, where he might just be told, if you want game time, you're going to have to go and find it somewhere else. Hopefully, obviously, that's only a loan deal because I think Lewis Skelly is a future talent, and I think obviously his future is probably going to be in midfield anyway, as opposed to left back. But there's also the situation around Calafiore at the minute. I made it quite clear in my the last part. I felt pretty I don't know what the word is, but it didn't feel great to hear his comments saying that he wanted to leave to go and continue at Roma.
Yeah.
So that could be something that Arsenal look at in the summer. Arteta's got that sort of attitude towards the players, such as Aubameyang, Ozil. If you're not interested, then go away, pretty much. So that could be something that we see with Calafiore in the summer. Obviously, his injury worries as well. But as you said with Ben White, I'll quickly move on to the right-sided sort of defensive area before I suggest my name. As with Ben White, I think you are going to struggle to find much better. It's similar to Kepa. I think you're going to struggle to find sort of that player that will come in and be as good as Timber. Not to say that, I'm not discrediting Ben White. I think he's a superb player. And to be honest, I don't think you're going to find an upgrade on him in that position because, as you say, when he's fit and available, he can very much, take Timber's role in some of these games. So I do think Ben White is a player that is going under the radar by Arteta because I think he should be playing more when he is fit and available. Hopefully he's available this weekend against Mansfield. Because obviously Mansfield's such a different conversation to this, but you feel like it's those kind of games that sort of the fringe players like your Norgards and the Ben Whites is sort of their opportunity to make a statement and say, look, I want to be playing more. This I've just proved it, because they did it against Wigan. So if they can do it against Mansfield and against the other sides, which they have been given the opportunity for in the Cup and in the Champions League, then they can really make a name for themselves and say, look, I want to be playing in the Premier League. But the left-sided sort of defender that I've suggested here, let's see if this works. Boom. You should see a tweet now.
Yeah.
This guy was heavily sort of talked about for Arsenal in the January transfer window. As you can see, Sammy Mockbell, who's obviously very close to Arsenal, and so is Hound of Arsenal, who's reposted this. It's sort of the I think they're describing him as sort of a Mosquera type signing from Real Madrid. Arsenal hold interest in Real Madrid teenager Victor Valdepeñas,
Valdepeñas, I think.
Valdepeñas,
I think. Yeah,
Valdepeñas. We'll go with Valdepeñas. He was very much a player that was heavily talked about in January, and he could see a summer arrival coming. And this is a guy that we've seen so much sort of action taking place within our youth system over the last couple of months. For players coming in, we've seen so many additions to that. So this guy could be another addition to who could start at Hale End and then make his way into the first team. However, this is also a guy that could step into the first team. If players like Calafiori were to leave, then it would open a space up at left-sided defence, and I don't think it would be necessary to go all out for a Premier League established player, because say Calafiori was to leave and Lewis Skelly was to stay, you'd have Lewis Skelly, Hincapié, you still have Gabriel Mosquera who can cover at centre back. So I don't know if an established name is necessarily needed. I mean, you could go for a more experienced player, but I think one for the future could be the way around here. So Valdepeñas, I think we agreed was his name.
He's centre back as well, isn't he? Centre back, sort of right back.
Yeah, similar to sort of Kiwior. Kiwior, so could be a good replacement there. I'm going to go to your midfield now. 2 midfield slots. I love the fact that you're suggesting multiple names here. It's great, and I didn't do that, but tell us, Josh, who are your midfielders that you're recommending?
Right, so I'll start with, again, I've got a few. I'll start with the more central mid, because I feel like it's a position that obviously we've been looking at for a bit of depth there. We've seen how many games Declan Rice and Zubimendi have played. I think Rice is over 41, Zubi's 37. So they're playing that a lot, and we haven't really had that rotation there. So it's a shame that Marino's been injured, and that's another name that we may have to mention in this, in terms of what happened with him come the end of the summer after he comes back from his injury. Obviously, I would love to see someone like Lewis Skelly be given the opportunity in the midfield, in his natural position, because I think he's shown very, very good signs there. So I think he is a name to definitely look at. But I think the guy we was looking at in a little talk about January, where it came out of the blue, last day of the window, Sandro Tonali for me. I love the idea of it. I already do, from Newcastle. I think many Romanos and all the scenes, they're saying he will be leaving, and he's definitely one to watch out for, one to keep an eye on for the summer. And I feel like there will be many clubs in for him, but I feel like Tonali for me would be a fantastic addition. I've always said I wanted one of those Newcastle midfielders, whether it's Tonali or Bruno Guimaraes. I really like Bruno Guimaraes as well. I think having someone in there who just gives you something, a bit of that physicality, but it's just a beast in the midfield. I don't want to say I don't want to swear on here, but the S house.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. So someone a bit like that. And that's, for me, screams Bruno Guimaraes, but it'd be probably over £100 million. Tonali, maybe 80 million around that margin. So he'd be definitely someone, main choice, central midfielder. And I know we've got Zubi and Rice there, so we're going to have to try and make that work with for all the minutes, but I think we can sort of something out there. My other shout would be, again, I'm looking at Premier League for the central midfield. I'm looking at Elliot Anderson as well from Nottingham Forest. I think for him, Yeah, really, really big fan of him. Deserves, for me, with all due respect to Forest, I think he deserves that step up, and I feel like again would be a fantastic addition for the midfield. So yeah, there's sort of in terms of my attacking midfielders. I've gone with a few who can play on the wing as well as can play as the cam, sort of how we have someone like Eze there. My first player again, Premier League, Morgan Rogers for me. Morgan Rogers, I think it'd be sort of a bad thing if he does become available and we're not there in the conversation for him. If I play like Morgan Rogers again, can play out wide, can play in that attacking midfield. Just a player that just would bring so much in terms of the creativity side of things. I think we have struggled a lot this season when it comes to creativity. Eze and Odegaard, and maybe it's a role the way how we do play and how Arteta sort of uses that position. But like we're seeing Morgan Rogers this season, a player who just gets you on the edge of the seat, man. Every time he gets the ball, it looks like he's gonna make stuff happen. He's powerful every time he does get the ball as well. So yeah, Morgan Rogers for me would be my other attacking midfielder sort of shout there. But bear in mind, of course, a player that I really do rate is Ethan Nwaneri as well. And he's obviously been out on loan at Marseille. I would personally bring him back. I'll bring him back and I'll free up that slot for him, and I'll give this guy the opportunity. Now, I know he had a good start to his career at Marseille. He scored that first goal. Then it's sort of taking a turn. He missed that penalty, I think, last night when they played Toulouse and out of the cup. But this is all experience for him, man. He's still 18, I think 19. Yeah, this is all the experience for him. And I think it's a shame that obviously De Zerbi left Marseille because he was the main guy that got Ethan in there. But I feel like bring him back and free up that slot there if we can't get someone like Morgan Rogers.
Yeah, and obviously some very good shouts there. I must stress on the fact that we both went into this video not knowing who we'd picked. I kind of had a sense that we'd agree on the goalkeeper, but I think it is very clear on the names that we have suggested, because I too have gone with Elliot Anderson in midfield. So yeah, I'm chucking Elliot Anderson in there.
Yeah.
And all the other shouts there. Sandro Tonali's a great player. Bruno Guimaraes as well. Obviously, we talked about Livramento as well. So it looks like Arsenal could possibly buy multiple Newcastle players this year, which is quite funny. We're just going to buy out the whole club. And I think something else that we need to have conversations about is Miles Lewis-Skelly and obviously his future. If it isn't somewhere else, if it is at Arsenal, could that be in midfield next season? However, you could also make the argument that the problem that he's got at left back at the minute is competition, and I think he's going to have that same problem in midfield with Marino, Rice, and Mendy.
Yeah.
So it depends on what his commitments are. Morgan Rogers, I think, is a brilliant player. Obviously, you can't doubt his quality. Aston Villa, one of their best players, and it is said that Aston Villa might need to look to move some big names on this summer for financial fair play, which it feels like Aston Villa, they've got to do that every year, which is a bit weird. And Morgan Rogers is probably their most sellable asset right now. And if he is available this summer, which it sounds like he will be, I agree that Arsenal should definitely be at least within the conversations to sign him. However, another name that you mentioned was Nwaneri, and that's just my midfield shout. Bring back Ethan Nwaneri. I think this guy is obviously such a good player, and as I was saying in the January transfer window, this guy is a top player, and he's shown that for Arsenal, but he's just not getting it at the minute because of the players ahead of him. However, if you say Odegaard could potentially be leaving this summer, which I don't think you can rule out at all, I think it's a bit concerning, the fact that he's been out for so long now. Is it down to injury? Quite possibly. However, the club have said absolutely nothing about that, so you can't rule out the fact that it could potentially be something personal between him and Arteta. Which, look, obviously, I think Odegaard's had a good Arsenal career. If he was to leave in the summer with a Premier League trophy and a couple of other cups, then you can't argue the fact that he's had a good career at Arsenal. But if he was to leave, then obviously that would free up the space in midfield for Ethan Nwaneri to come into. You could potentially have Eze first choice next season. You could switch it up, bring in a Tonali or an Anderson and play them with Zubi and Rice if you wanted to do that. But yeah, I think Ethan Nwaneri, if we are looking to sell a 10 in the summer, Odegaard, then that would free up the space for Nwaneri and fix all of the problems for him. We're going to go to the two forwards now, and I've let the guests go first every time, so
I want to hear you.
I'll tell you what. Name me one of your forwards, and I'll name a forward. Then we'll do the same again. So name one of your forwards at the minute.
Left forwards, Kenan Yildiz, straight up.
We've agreed on another player.
Same as you, yeah. Same as you. Oh man, yeah, Kenan Yildiz for me. This guy, wow. I mean, the thing is as well, this is a good opportunity in the summer because Juventus are really, really struggling. I think it will potentially be about the the Champions League football for Juventus because right now it's between them and Como. Como's doing amazing. Cesc Fabregas, I think he can beat them to it. And right now they're really struggling. And obviously they just got knocked out by Galatasaray. So they're out of that. And obviously now it's really a league for them. So I don't think if they do not get Champions League football, I think that's a big opportunity there, Kenan Yildiz. I mean, he has just apparently signed a new contract with Juventus, and they're basically building their whole team, the whole future lies on this guy. Basically, you know, he's their main guy. This guy will be amazing because he's so versatile as well. You know, left, but also can do the thing in the attacking midfield as well. He can play pretty much anywhere across the front three. Across that attack. So yeah, I think this is a really, really good deal if we can get him. Fantastic player. Again, still young, still got a very, very bright future ahead of him. Probably been one of the best players in Serie A for not just this season, but for many, many years. The way how he's developed as a player, the way how he's got more experience, I think he's going to need that step up. And you don't get twisted. Juventus is a massive, massive football club. There's no doubt about it. But Premier League, all right, Arsenal Football Club, you know, Juventus situation right now is not looking good for them. You know, they're going from different managers. They've got Spalletti as manager right now. And again, they're struggling to get Champions League football. I think that could play a big factor. And I feel like Kenan Yildiz, you know, he is phenomenal. So, yeah. And, of course, Tom's gone the exact same. So, there we go.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing with Juventus is you bring up that sort of Champions League spot shout. I think I'd be disappointed in Juventus if they were. I think that would be a bit underwhelming for them, considering if you look at their squad on paper, you know, Weston McKennie's had a good season.
Yeah.
Kenan Yildiz, of course, they've got Jonathan David and Vlahovic up front. You know, I think they've got a very solid team.
Yeah.
So if they didn't make Champions League football, that would obviously make this deal 100% more doable. Obviously that means I don't have to speak about Kenan Yildiz now. I'll go for the other forward that I've suggested, and I've kind of gone for that sort of. It's a similar sort of profile to Yildiz, but
okay,
I'm looking at Premier League experience, goal scoring record, and also a bit of versatility as well, similar to Gabriel Jesus in that sort of profile. Because I think I'd be surprised if Jesus was still at Arsenal next season. And that player that I've gone for is Julian Alvarez. Yeah, I'm guessing you've gone the same.
Well, I put I put him as a striker and I put someone else. If you want that,
yeah,
I'll be different, yeah, because you've gone Alvarez. Don't get twisted. Alvarez, I mean, incredible. But the one I've gone with, I love the. You can quite tell of mine, yeah. Many Italian players and players who play Italian as well. But another one for me. We played against him, Inter, Esposito, Piero Esposito.
Yeah,
that guy, watch his cameo, guys, against us, off the bench against us. When we obviously fantastic win, I'm not denying that, brilliant performance against them. But when he came on, man, he's a beast.
Something changed.
Yeah, he's a beast, bro. Honestly, Esposito is still very young as well. You know, we're saying this guy could be the future striker for Italy. It's something that the Italians have been missing for many, many years, but Esposito could be that guy from Inter. Beast. You know, he's built, he's got the physicality. I don't think that'll be a bit, you know, he'll easily adapt in the Premier League with how physical the league can be. And yeah, overall, is just, you know, definitely a shout there. I don't know if we'll go for him, but yeah, that'd be my sort of other shout. But I do have to agree with Tom as well about Alvarez, man. You know, that's for me a no-brainer. If
Yeah,
and bear in mind, obviously we have Gyökeres, Jesus, Havertz. So I don't know if you said it in your other video to sell maybe Jesus.
yeah.
Just to free up that
Jesus
spot.
would be sort of, if you're looking up front, I think Gyökeres will stay, and I think Havertz is quite a good
Yeah,
squad player to have. So I
yeah,
think it would be Jesus that would make his way out, including the two sort of left wingers. You don't know the situation that's going to happen with them, so I've kind of gone for that sort of
yeah,
thinking as well with Yildiz. And I think just quickly on Alvarez, very different profile. I think when you watch Julian Alvarez against us, and then you watch Despacito against us.
yes.
Oh God, he sounds like that Spanish song, Despacito.
Despacito. Yeah,
If he signs for Arsenal, we need that tune for
we
his
need a
chant.
tune.
But yeah, obviously very different profile. You've got Esposito, who's like what 200 centimeters, 6'5", something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Absolutely massive. Similar to Gyökeres in that sort of sense. And then you've got Alvarez, who is very good on the ball. He'll create chances by himself, and I just feel like we sort of miss that right now. I think, especially over the last few games, we've been missing something, that little spark going forward. And I think he's that kind of profile that would bring that to the team. Obviously, you know, you can say this season he's been a little bit underwhelming with his goal scoring record. However, just look at last season.
yeah,
Nearly 30 goals in all competitions. He's won pretty much everything there is to
yeah,
win. He's got the treble at Man City, another Premier League title, obviously the Champions League, the Super Cup, the Club World Cup, even the cheeky Community Shield, if you want to include that. He's won 2 Copa Americas, a World
wow,
Cup, of course. What else has he won? He's won a lot with River Plate as well, including
yeah,
the league title, Copa Libertadores. So it's like wherever he's been, he's won. Um,
exactly.
so look, I think we need that sort of mentality as well. And I think he would be a great addition. Obviously, could play through the middle,
Yeah,
sort of in this Havertz role that we've seen in the past sort of month or two with Gyökeres. I feel like he could do that because he's been playing with, who's the Norwegian striker with Atletico Madrid?
Sorloth. Alexander
Yeah,
Sorloth.
Sorloth.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's been Lookman recently, but
yeah,
Sorloth, you could see is a very similar sort of partnership there with Gyökeres. Um,
yeah.
so look, you could see, I can see something working between
And
Alvarez and
he
Gyökeres.
had that with sort of Haaland as well. If you remember
Yeah,
when you went
yeah,
back to when he was at his Man City days, like they played them together and it worked really well. And he seems to be doing that well. Like as you said, bro, like Alvarez for me, yeah, he's not been obviously firing this season, but I've watched a handful of Atleti games as well. Like I was watching the Copa del Rey, and I'm just watching this guy. Like he's playing such a different role. It seems like compared to how he was last season. Like last season,
yeah,
he seemed that he was playing more as like that main guy for Atleti, out and out sort of striker, and he's scoring goals for fun. But now I'm watching him. He's playing so deep. It's kind of like kind of what we see at Arsenal with players like Eze, for example, where we kind of we kind of look at it and feel like why are they dropping so deep, sort of things to get the ball. That's what I'm sort of looking at Alvarez. Like he's sort of playing as another like attacking midfielder sort of thing, and then there's Sorloth being that main guy out front, and Sorloth has been getting all the glory in terms of all the goals. So I think I look at it another way. Like Alvarez maybe has that mind, like he's done his thing at Atleti now because there's a lot of talk about Barcelona. There's a lot of talk about these bigger clubs
yeah,
aiming for him in the summer. Maybe his mind is of course on the summer, but what we'll say about him in the big games, this guy seems to always turn up. Like you think about Real Madrid this season, you think about Real Madrid last season in the Champions League. Yeah, they got knocked out, and yeah, he got hard done by that penalty decision thing. But he still scored against them. He scored against them this season. Scored against Barca in the Copa del Rey, right? When it comes, I mean, you think about even in the World Cup, people
yeah,
just say, oh, like people can say, oh, I heard someone say when Alvarez had a World Cup, they said, oh, but Mustafi had a World Cup. But mate, Alvarez played a massive role in that World Cup
yeah,
final. Look at that guy's pass for, I think, was it Di Maria's goal? for Argentina's second goal. That pass that he did was mad. Like that guy was a
Yeah,
big part, and he's been a huge part while they won Copa Americas as well. He's been one Argent. Of course, the whole highlights Messi and all this, but he's also in there as well. You know, he's a big player for Argentina. So he's not so some like squad player. You know, he plays a big role, and he's done every single one of those trophies. So yeah, Alvarez for me, I think would be an absolute phenomenal signing as well.
yeah. Well, Josh, thank you very much for coming on. I thoroughly
Thank you,
enjoyed
man.
that.
That was amazing.
We look. I know we got Andrea Berta. If you're watching this, Andrea, here are some ideas. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We've got 16 options there. So if you are looking to move on Ben White, Jesus, Odegaard, Norgard, a left winger, a left back, goalkeeper, just give us a little bit of a bonus, please, because we've done your job for you. But we've got some incredible names on here. Obviously, not all of them will sign for Arsenal this summer. However, look, superb names on here. Let's try and get some of these guys done, because when Josh Kroenke said be excited, I think videos like this make me excited. I think watching videos like this makes me excited, because you see all of these sort of content creators doing similar content and bringing forward these brilliant players to suggest for Arsenal to go in for. And similar to the Yeze deal, once it goes through, the fan base will be mental through excitement. And sometimes we need that within a summer transfer window, because we've seen in the past very, very boring ones. I'm looking at Petr Cech, that window, for instance. However, Josh, thank you very much for coming
Thank
on.
you.
As I said, his handle will be in the title and in the description. And we'll also collaborate on this video. So if you click the subscribe button, obviously you can subscribe to me. Road to 100 subs, 11 away. Let's try and get there by the end of the season. And you can subscribe to Josh as well. Josh, thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for bringing forward some incredible talent. And what have you got coming up on your channel this week? What content do you have planned for Mansfield?
Yeah, bro. Thanks for the invite, man. Honestly, it's been a pleasure. Really, really enjoyed this type of video as well. And yeah, really, really appreciate you having me on again, bro. But yeah, pretty much steady Arsenal content. I cover both the teams, men and women. So yeah, I mean, the women's on international break at the moment, so
Yeah.
the content's kind of not there yet. But as soon as we come back, we've got some big games. Like we're playing Chelsea in the Champions League quarterfinal, for example. That's going to be amazing. So yeah, we're going to be covering all of that. And yeah, Mansfield FA Cup, and then Champions League for the men as well, of course. Leverkusen, you know, next Wednesday, and then the Everton game after that as well for the Premier League. So pretty much daily Arsenal content, you know, live streams, previews, press conferences we do as well, all of that stuff. So yeah, man, big up.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it as well, man.
Yeah, thank you for the kind words, and yeah, we are gonna go, people. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you in the next one. Come on, you Gunners! We're gonna beat Mansfield 6-0.